In this video, I'll be showing you how to read the rankings dashboard by Collaborate Pros. So I'm showing you a carpet cleaning company in Boise, and I'll be showing you how to navigate the dashboard, what to look at, what everything means. And so I'll start from the top and go down. So right at the top, you'll be able to select all the different locations we have inputted for you. If these locations are not correct, please let us know and we can get these changed for you so we can have accurate tracking in those areas. So we can look at Boise, Meridian, Nampa, Eagle. Another thing you can do is you can change the dates, see exactly what you were looking at or showing up for on a specific date. So I currently selected compare by dates so I can just have it easily visible and look at the specific dates I want to look at. And so I have the 24th, the 14th, and I also chose some time periods in January and October and August just so we can see the progression of terms. And I'll get into that later on in the video. But to explain this graph is giving you the average of all your rankings. So the amount of keywords you have may be different depending on your industry. But for this particular company, they have 95 keywords, and this average it's coming to is taking the average of all 95 of these terms. And so with that, how it comes to that number is it's taking the average of all these different numbers down here. And so when you're not showing up for a particular term, it defaults the value to 100. So when you aren't ranking for many terms and you start getting a lot of rankings, you'll see this skyrocket up, kind of like how this did right here. And so that's when they started getting a lot of rankings for a bunch of different terms. Doesn't necessarily mean they were ranking on the first page, but it was going from like 100 to like 50, which will definitely help your average more than a ranking that's already on the first page going from number 7 to number 5. But moving up on the first page is huge. And so I like to look at this as a general idea of how all terms are performing, but it doesn't tell you the whole picture. And I don't want you to focus too much on the average position, but more on how specific keywords are performing. And later part of the video, I'll be showing you how to look at the keywords and how they are progressing on your dashboard. And so scrolling down, just describe the view that you'll be looking at. All the keywords we're targeting for you will be on this left-hand side. All the search volume for these specific keywords will be in this middle column. And don't get confused with the search volume. This is in the United States per month. So don't think that this is in your particular location. It's in the whole United States. And then every number you see over here is the ranking. And so kind of go over the rankings, 1 through 10 first page, 11 through 20 second page, 21 through 30 third page, etc. And so when you see low numbers, that's exactly what you want. You want to be as low as possible. It goes from 1 to 100. And so I'll also go over what these colors mean. And so these colors I get there based upon the previous date. So when looking at January 16th, we'll go over the color blue for in this example. Blue means when comparing October 16th to January 16th, it moved to the first page. So on October 16th, they weren't ranking on the first page. And on January 16th, they started to rank on the first page. So it indicates that there was a change. That was a good change. They moved to the first page. When you see green, that means it stayed consistent and they stayed on the first page. So as you can see, it turned to green in March 14th because it went from number 2 on the first page to number 1 on the first page. Doesn't necessarily mean just because it went to number 1, but they stayed on the first page, 1 through 10. And so green, see how it stayed green here again, March 24th to March 14th, stayed on the first page. And so from this example, they went from 85 to number 2 from this date to this date. So they moved to the first page, they stayed on the first page from March 14th to 24, so it's green. And so another color you'll see is gray. Gray indicates that you weren't previously ranking for it in the top 100 and then you started to rank for it. So if you see this dash, that means it's defaulting you to 100. So you're not showing in the top 100, but it defaults you there. And so with that, they weren't showing up for it. And then on March 14th, they started to show up for it. So it indicates it as gray. That is still 1 through 10. And that is the first page, but since they weren't ranking for it on January 16th, that is why it's indicating it as a change that they started to rank for it, and that's why it shows up as gray. And then if you compare it to March 24th, it shows green because they stayed on the first page from the March 14th to the March 24th. Another color you will see is red. Red indicates that there was a fall off of the first page. So in comparing the previous date to the date you're looking at, it fell off the first page. And for this example, August 1st, they were ranking number 10, and then number 2, and then they fell off the first page, and then they started to come back onto the first page, and then stayed on the first page. And so that's what red means. And another thing you'll also see is these pin drops. Pin drops indicate map listings. And so the number you'll see 1, 2, and 3. That indicates the map pack. So, and that's where you are located in the map pack. So I can show you an example of what this would look like on the search engine results. So I will click this. It says they're number 3 in organic and number 2 in the maps. So if I click on the cell and I click view live results, they should be showing up right here. Right here. Safe and Soft Carpet Cleaning Boise. And then they should be showing up number 3 in organic. And there they are. So that's how you can fact check your dashboard. And so moving on with this, you can pick specific dates, do it month by month. Day by day, you'll see a lot of change, so I wouldn't really compare your rankings day to day because there can be a lot of change. It could be very volatile one day. You're actually showing up there, but the tool just didn't capture it accurately. That's why I like to spread things out, either by a month-by-month basis. You can even do it by every 2 weeks. But day to day, you won't see much change. If anything, it'll just be like looking at the stock market. Oh no, I lost all my portfolio. So I wouldn't look at it like a day-to-day perspective because then you won't really see much change as you would as looking at it from like over a period of time. And so if we're just looking at their keywords and seeing how these have progressed, they went from 44 to 26 to number 2 to number 1. And that's awesome. And then Carpet Restretched, they went from 42 to 24, got a map listing. They went down 85, so that's just to show you there is volatility with Google and not to freak out. And then they went right back to the first page. They didn't go back to the first page, but they started to rank on the first page for it. And then here's another example. Carpet Cleaning and Stretching Near Me. They were ranking number 10 for it on August 1st, which is great. So they already had a great ranking for that. And then on October 16th, they started to rank number 8. January 16th stayed the same. They went up 5 on from January to March, and then they stayed there. And so really looking at how your keywords are progressing. Are they moving up in their rankings? And so that's exactly what I'm showing you, how you can see how you are progressing. So this graph won't tell you how specific keywords are moving up, because I'll also show you later in the video of like how things can fall off and how that will fluctuate your average. And so looking at these keywords, Carpet Restretch, Carpet Repair Company, they're ranking 49 and 50, so they were ranking for it. It actually went down in October 16th, and then it looks like it disappeared on January 16th, but it hopped right back on the first page on March 14th. And so Carpets Cleaned, they went from 28, they jumped up to number 1, then they dropped to number 2, number 6, number 5, and then jumped up number 1 in the maps. And so these color indicators help you indicate like what's going on. Things are jumping into the first page from this date to this date, and it just makes it easy to read once you get that understanding of what these different colors mean. And so as you can see with this example, you'll see carpet cleaning. Looks like you weren't ranking for it, popped in, ranked for it number 3, disappeared on January 16th, then popped back in, and still ranking on the first page. And so here's another term, quotes for carpet cleaning. So this is something that would dramatically affect your average. So like you weren't ranking for it, was not ranking for it for all this period of time, and they start showing up on the first page. So they went up 93 spots. So now when taking the average is taking the average 7, and so that's going to affect their average way more than, for example, moving up from number 2 to number 1. And so that's another thing to keep in mind when looking at that average graph. It doesn't tell you the whole picture. And so you can see the movement just from August 1st to October 16th. All of these terms went to the first page, and they maintained the first page. There is a lot of volatility just with like going up, down, up and down, up and down. But we want to see you guys moving to the first page. And so not every keyword has the potential to rank for the first page depending on the keyword's intent. But the main thing we want is to get you as much exposure as possible, as much visibility with all the different keywords you could potentially show up for. That's the reason why we track so many different keywords for you. And so another example I'm going to show you is when keywords start to fall off and how that hurts your average. So as you can see, they went from 5, 7, 9, 11. So it looks like it fell onto the second page, so it wouldn't hurt their average that much. But these things do happen and they do bounce back. It's just, I wouldn't freak out when you see this stuff, because if you look at their rankings above, it looks great. But there is volatility with Google and things will change and you'll see things come back. You just gotta let it see through and then see how things are coming along. And so let me see if I can show you some other examples. So like these are examples that would definitely hurt the average, where you would probably see a dip around over here. And so if we're comparing March 14th, that was here, they had an average position of 23. Now they have an average position of 33. If I'm looking at the rankings up here, they look fantastic. And that's awesome. And they're showing up for some really great terms, like carpet cleaner companies near me, carpet cleaners company near me, carpet cleaning Boise, like those are all great. But if I'm looking at, let's scroll down, it says they fell off for all these terms. So when it was taking the average on this date, it said they were ranking number 5, 8, 8, and so now it's defaulting all these to 100. So that's going to affect the average, what you see in the graph. And so typically what you'll see is you'll see these pop in and then pop back out, pop in, but we really want to see them maintain there. So if they remain not ranking for it, then something must have changed, and that's when we go in and see what happened during this date to this date. Why did that ranking fall off? So when you see a ranking fall off like that, don't freak out, but recognize like Google is volatile too, and it is going to go up and down, and sometimes this tool isn't perfect either. So you can always fact check this too, so you can see, oh, it says I fell off right here. Let's see if I really did. So you click View Live Results, and so safe and arrived. So it looks like they're not showing up in this search result, but that's another way you can fact check it, because this usually pulls in all these numbers around like 6 o'clock Mountain Time. So these can fluctuate throughout the day, and don't be alarmed if you don't see, like, let's, for example, say, like, let's pull up this one. It says it's ranking number 1. Could have moved to number 2, but we can definitely look at that up. There they are, showing up number 1. And so I just wanted to show you guys that tutorial, how to read your dashboard, how to play with the dates, how to look at the different areas and everything. And not to focus too much about the average, but to really look at your keywords. Are they progressing? And to see the movement that is going on with the keywords. Are you ranking for them? Are things falling off? And how is that affecting your average over here? But I would say the main focus to look at is how major keywords are playing a part in your rankings.